What started as a routine morning interview quickly turned into one of the most uncomfortable moments in television. The studio lights were bright, the audience was lively, and everything about the Jennifer Hudson show seemed ready for another cheerful segment. Chaka Khan, the undisputed queen of funk, walked onto the stage with the elegance and confidence of someone who had ruled the music industry for more than 50 years. Her presence alone commanded respect. Her voice had shaped generations, her songs had become anthems, and her name stood among legends. Jennifer Hudson, sitting behind her polished desk, flashed her practiced smile, that carefully trained warmth that talk show hosts master after years of media training. The crowd clapped and cheered, ready for a light-hearted conversation between two powerful women in music. But within minutes, what should have been a celebration of legacy turned into a tense exchange that no one saw coming. "Welcome back to the show," Jennifer said, beaming toward the cameras. "I'm here with the incredible Chaka Khan, and we're going to talk about her amazing career." Chaka nodded gracefully, crossing her legs as she sat, ready for the usual small talk, a few nostalgic stories, a plug for her new project, and a few laughs. Instead, Jennifer leaned forward, a hint of curiosity and something sharper flickering in her eyes. "So, Chaka," she began, "you've been in this business for a really long time." The words landed awkwardly. It wasn't admiration, it was condescension disguised as praise. Chaka's smile didn't fade, but her expression shifted slightly. "Yes," she replied, calm but firm. "I've been blessed to share my music for many years." Jennifer continued with her rehearsed tone, flipping her cue cards. "The music industry has changed so much," she said. "Artists today have to be more than just singers. They have to be business people, influencers, social media stars." The implication was clear, that the new generation worked harder or smarter than the one that came before. Chaka's eyes narrowed slightly. "Well, Jennifer," she replied smoothly, "we had to fight for everything back then. There were no shortcuts, no auto-tune, no social media. You got one shot, and you made it count." The crowd chuckled softly, unsure if it was safe to laugh. Jennifer forced a polite laugh. "Oh, I know it wasn't easy," she said quickly. "It's just that competition is so much fiercer now. There are so many artists trying to make it." Chaka raised an eyebrow, her tone turning sharper. "Competition has always been fierce," she said. "The difference is we didn't have TV shows or viral videos to make us famous overnight. We earned our place the hard way." The audience grew quieter. This was no longer the cozy, upbeat segment they had expected. Trying to regain control, Jennifer smiled tightly and tried to pivot. Of course," she said, her voice slightly strained. "Your hits, 'I'm Every Woman,' 'Ain't Nobody,' they're still loved today. Although," she hesitated, "do you ever feel like your style of music is becoming a little outdated?" The air went still. The audience stopped moving, sensing the shift immediately. Chaka's expression didn't change, but the fire in her eyes said everything. "Outdated?" she repeated slowly, her voice calm but cutting. The woman who had inspired Whitney Houston, Mary J. Blige, and countless others being told her sound was outdated by someone who had built her career covering classic songs. Jennifer, perhaps realizing she'd stepped into dangerous territory, tried to explain. "I just mean, music today is different," she said quickly. "It's more electronic, more modern. Young people want something they can relate to." Chaka tilted her head slightly, her voice dropping lower, every syllable deliberate. "Are you suggesting," she said, "that my music that's carried people through love, heartbreak, joy, and pain for decades isn't relatable anymore? That real instruments, real voices, and real soul are somehow less meaningful than whatever auto-tuned hit is trending this week?" The silence that followed was suffocating. Jennifer's smile faltered completely, her posture tightening as she fumbled for words. "I didn't mean it like that," she said softly, "but the damage was already done." Chaka didn't raise her voice, she didn't have to. The weight of her presence, the quiet strength in her tone, said more than any argument could. The audience didn't clap, didn't cheer, they just watched, transfixed, as one legend reminded everyone in the room that respect isn't optional. What began as a light morning talk show had turned into a masterclass in grace under fire, and a chilling reminder that you never, ever underestimate a queen. "I just meant that the sound has evolved," Jennifer said nervously, her voice trembling under the weight of the silence that filled the room. "Evolved?" Chaka repeated, leaning forward with eyes that blazed like fire. "Baby, I was evolving before you were born. I was blending genres when people said it couldn't be done. I was writing songs about women's empowerment when that was revolutionary. Don't you dare sit there and tell me about evolution. Her tone was sharp, but her control made it even more powerful. Jennifer looked as if she wished she could melt into her chair. But there was no escape now. She had ignited something she couldn't put out. I think there might be some misunderstanding here, Jennifer tried, her voice soft, almost pleading. But Chaka wasn't done. Oh, there's no misunderstanding, she shot back, her voice rising just enough to cut through the pretense of daytime politeness. You invited me on your show to disrespect me, to make me look like some old relic who doesn't understand modern music. Let me tell you something about modern music, sweetheart. Half these young artists you're talking about sample my songs. They build their hits on my foundation, and you want to call me outdated? The audience sat frozen, caught between awe and discomfort. Some shifted uneasily while others leaned forward, realizing they were witnessing something unforgettable. A masterclass in self-respect. Jennifer's fake smile was long gone now, replaced by panic. Chaka, I really think we're having a miscommunication here, she said weakly. I have nothing but respect for your legacy. Legacy? Chaka stood up slowly, towering over the host with an almost regal presence. Honey, I'm not legacy. I'm current. I'm present. And I'm not going to sit here while you treat me like a museum piece you dragged out for nostalgia points. Her words hit like thunder. Jennifer raised her hands slightly, trying to calm the situation. Please, if we could just... No, we couldn't just anything, Chaka interrupted, her voice firm and commanding. The full force of her power filled the studio, leaving no room for pretense. You had a chance to conduct a respectful interview with someone who paved the way for artists like you. Instead, you chose to be condescending and dismissive. That's on you, not me. Jennifer looked around desperately, her eyes darting toward the crew, silently begging for someone to cut to commercial. But no one moved. The cameras kept rolling. Chaka wasn't finished. You know what your problem is? She said, her voice echoing in the stunned silence. You think because you won a singing competition and landed a few movie roles that you understand this business. You think sitting behind that desk gives you the right to judge artists who were changing the world while you were still in diapers. Each word hit Jennifer like a blow. Her face flushed red, her posture shrinking as Chaka's energy filled the space. I never meant to judge, Jennifer said weakly, her voice small and hollow compared to Chaka's. But that's exactly what you did, Chaka said, picking up her purse from beside the chair. And the sad part is you probably don't even realize how disrespectful you've been. That's what makes it worse. The studio felt heavy, the air thick with tension. The audience didn't dare move. Chaka stood tall, her purse in hand, looking down at Jennifer not with anger anymore, but disappointment, the kind that stings far deeper. Jennifer tried to salvage what little dignity she could. Chaka, please, she said, her voice cracking slightly. Let's just take a breath and start over. I think we got off on the wrong foot. Start over? Chaka repeated, her voice low and dangerous. Honey, there's no starting over from disrespect. You don't get to insult someone and then ask for a do-over when you realize you messed up. Jennifer's voice wavered with desperation. I wasn't trying to insult you, she protested. I was just trying to talk about how the industry has changed. By calling my music outdated, Chaka fired back immediately. By suggesting that real artistry, real voices, real instruments, real soul is less valuable than whatever manufactured nonsense is passing for music today. That wasn't a conversation. That was an attack. Jennifer's eyes darted toward the audience, toward her producers, anyone who could save her. But she was alone now. She had built this mess herself and no one could clean it up for her. Look, Jennifer said softly, her voice trembling. Maybe I chose my words poorly, but I was genuinely interested in your perspective on how things have changed. Chaka shook her head slowly. No, you weren't, she said flatly. You were trying to make yourself look relevant by making me look irrelevant. You wanted to position yourself as the voice of modern music by painting me as a relic of the past. That's not journalism. That's just mean. Her words hit the studio like a lightning bolt. Even the crew behind the cameras looked shaken, some exchanging uneasy glances. Jennifer's composure was gone now, her confidence shattered. I would never try to make you look irrelevant, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. You're a legend. Everyone knows that. Chaka's response was quiet, but it carried the weight of truth. Then why didn't you treat me like one? She asked. Why did every question sound like an insult wrapped in a compliment? Why couldn't you just ask me about my music without suggesting it doesn't matter anymore? Jennifer opened her mouth and stopped herself because there was nothing left to say. The damage was done, the moment immortalized. And as Chaka Khan turned and walked off that set, purse in hand and head held high, there was no mistaking the lesson she left behind. Respect is not a courtesy. It's a requirement. For a moment it looked like Jennifer might finally tell the truth about what had really motivated the disaster of an interview. Chaka Khan leaned forward, her voice sharp and unrelenting. Because you what? She pressed. Because you thought you could get a viral moment by being disrespectful to someone who's been in this business longer than you've been alive? Because you thought putting down a legend would somehow make you look bigger? Jennifer's face went pale. Chaka had struck a nerve, and everyone in the studio could feel it. This wasn't an accident or a misunderstanding. This was calculated disrespect designed to create drama. That's not true, Jennifer managed to say, though her voice lacked conviction. Isn't it? Chaka challenged. Then explain to me why you invited me here just to question whether my music still matters. Explain why you thought it was appropriate to suggest that I don't understand the modern music business. Explain why you felt the need to talk down to me like I'm some confused old woman who wandered onto your set by mistake. The audience was completely silent, captivated by the moment. This was no longer just an argument between two celebrities. It had become a masterclass in dignity under fire. Chaka Khan was showing the world how to respond to disrespect with grace and power. Jennifer tried to recover, her voice trembling. Chaka, I think you're misinterpreting my intentions. I have so much respect for you and your career. I grew up listening to your music. Chaka's response was swift and cutting. Then you should know better. If you grew up listening to my music, then you know what it means. You know that songs like I'm Every Woman weren't just hits, they were anthems. They gave people strength. They changed lives. And you want to sit there and call that outdated? I didn't call it outdated, Jennifer protested weakly. Yes, you did, Chaka replied without hesitation. You asked me if I felt like my style of music was becoming outdated. Those were your exact words. Don't try to rewrite history when we all remember what you said 5 minutes ago. The cameras zoomed in, capturing every devastating second of the exchange. Jennifer looked like she was drowning, trying to keep her composure. I was asking about musical evolution, not suggesting your music doesn't have value, she said. By framing it as outdated versus modern, you did exactly that, Chaka shot back. By suggesting that young people can't relate to real music. By acting like artistry is less important than social media fame. You weren't asking about evolution. You were making judgments. I wasn't making judgments, Jennifer insisted, though even she didn't sound convinced anymore. Then what would you call it? Chaka demanded, her voice rising with righteous anger. What do you call sitting there and suggesting that my 5 decades of groundbreaking music don't measure up to whatever auto-tuned, computer-generated, focus group-tested nonsense is popular this week? The words hit hard. Jennifer flinched at each one, realizing just how deeply she had offended her guest. I never said your music doesn't measure up, she said desperately. You didn't have to say it directly, Chaka replied. You implied it with every question, every tone, every assumption. You implied it when you said today's artists face more challenges, when you asked if my style was outdated, when you acted like being a social media star was more impressive than changing the course of popular music. The studio was so quiet that the hum of the air conditioner was audible. Everyone was transfixed as Chaka Khan, a living legend, dismantled a talk show host who had underestimated her. Jennifer's voice was small when she spoke again. Chaka, I'm sorry if my questions came across the wrong way. That wasn't my intention. Your intention doesn't matter anymore, Chaka said coldly. What matters is what you did. And what you did was invite a legend onto your show just to disrespect her on national television. That says everything about your character and your professionalism. Please don't say that, Jennifer begged, her voice cracking. I didn't mean any disrespect. But that's what you delivered, Chaka replied mercilessly. And the worst part is you still don't understand why it was wrong. You probably think I'm overreacting to a few innocent questions. Jennifer tried to speak, but Chaka continued, her voice filled with experience and pain. When you've been fighting for respect in this business as long as I have, you learn to recognize disrespect in all its forms. And honey, you served me a full plate of it today. The audience shifted uncomfortably. Sympathy was gone. Disappointment had taken its place. Jennifer looked defeated. "I don't know what to say," she admitted. "There's nothing left to say," Chaka replied, adjusting her purse strap with quiet finality. "You said everything you needed to say with your questions. Now I'm saying everything I need to with my response." The air was thick with tension. Jennifer Hudson sat frozen behind her desk, while Chaka Khan stood tall, radiating the power of someone who knows she's right. Finally, Jennifer broke the silence with a last desperate plea. "Chaka, what can I do to make this right?" Chaka looked at her, her expression softening only slightly. "You can't make this right. Some things can't be undone. You chose disrespect, and now you have to live with that choice. But surely there's some way we can move past this," Jennifer pleaded. "Move past it?" Chaka let out a bitter laugh. "You want to move past the fact that you used your platform to diminish a woman who helped build the foundation your career stands on? You want to sweep under the rug that you thought it was okay to call music that inspired generations outdated?" Jennifer's eyes darted around the room, searching for support, but none came. "I never meant to diminish you or your music," she whispered. "What you meant doesn't change what you did," Chaka replied sharply. "And what you did was show your true colors. You showed everyone that you think success gives you the right to look down on those who came before you." The silence that followed was absolute, heavy, final, and unforgettable. The audience was completely transfixed, phones raised to capture every second of what was unfolding before them. They knew they were witnessing a confrontation that would be talked about for years. Jennifer's voice trembled as she spoke. "That's not who I am." Chaka's eyes narrowed, her voice calm but cutting. "Then who are you?" "Because the person I've been talking to for the last 20 minutes is someone who thinks she can insult legends and get away with it. The person I've been talking to believes that being on television gives her the right to judge artists who were changing the world before she was even born." Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. But Chaka showed no mercy. "You want to know what's really sad about this?" Chaka continued, her tone heavy with disappointment. "You had a chance to have a real conversation with someone who's been through everything this business can throw at you. You could have asked me about the struggles, the victories, the lessons learned. Instead, you wasted everyone's time with insulting questions meant to make me look irrelevant." "I'm so sorry," Jennifer whispered, but the words sounded empty in the tense air of the studio. "Sorry doesn't fix this," Chaka replied coldly. "Sorry doesn't erase disrespect. Sorry doesn't change the fact that you treated me like some museum piece dragged out for ratings." The camera operators didn't dare look away, capturing every devastating moment of Jennifer's unraveling. This was television gold at the cost of the host's credibility. "Please," Jennifer begged softly. "Please don't leave like this." Chaka stopped and turned, facing her fully. "Like what? With my dignity intact? With my self-respect still in place? With my head held high because I refused to let someone half my age talk down to me on national television? Jennifer began, but Chaka cut her off sharply. "You just what? You just thought you could get away with it? You assumed I'd sit here quietly and take whatever disrespect you dished out? You figured because I'm from an older generation I wouldn't know how to defend myself?" Each question landed like a blow. Jennifer shrank in her chair, looking smaller, more defeated with every word. "That's not what I thought," she said weakly. "Then you're either lying," Chaka shot back, "or you're not as smart as you think you are. Because everything about your behavior today suggests that you thought exactly that." The studio fell into complete silence. Some audience members looked stunned, others impressed, but all of them knew they were watching something extraordinary. "I don't know how to fix this," Jennifer admitted, her voice barely audible. "You can't fix it," Chaka said, her words firm and final. "Some mistakes are permanent. Some disrespect can't be undone. All you can do now is learn from it and pray you never make the same mistake again." Jennifer looked like she wanted to disappear. "Will you ever be able to forgive me?" she asked quietly. Chaka paused for a moment, her expression softening just a fraction. "Maybe someday," she said. "But forgiveness has to be earned. And earning it starts with understanding what you did wrong. Really understanding it, not just apologizing because you got caught." "I'm trying to understand," Jennifer said desperately. "No, you're not," Chaka replied. "You're trying to make this go away. You're searching for magic words to fix what you broke, but understanding means accepting that you chose to be disrespectful to someone who deserved better. It means admitting that you used your platform to tear down instead of build up." Her words hung heavy in the air, settling over the studio like a fog. Even the crew looked uncomfortable as they watched their host get dismantled by a woman who clearly knew her worth. "What do I do now?" Jennifer asked, finally sounding lost. "Now," Chaka said evenly, "you deal with the consequences. You explain to your producers why your guest walked off your show. You figure out how to salvage what's left of your credibility after treating a music legend like garbage on live television." Jennifer's face crumpled as the reality hit her. "This is going to ruin everything," she whispered. "Maybe it should," Chaka replied coldly. "Maybe someone who thinks it's okay to disrespect legends shouldn't have a platform to begin with." Her words landed like a death sentence. The audience gasped, fully grasping that they were witnessing the implosion of a talk show host's career in real time. "I never wanted this to happen," Jennifer said through her tears. "But you caused it," Chaka replied, her voice filled with unshakable certainty. "Every choice you made today led to this moment. Every question, every dismissive comment, every attempt to diminish my legacy brought us right here." Jennifer looked around the studio, searching for help that wasn't coming. Her producers were probably panicking behind the glass. The audience was watching her with pity and disappointment. Her career was crumbling before her eyes. "I guess this is goodbye then," she said brokenly. "Yes, it is," Chaka replied simply. She adjusted her purse one last time and looked directly into the cameras. "To everyone watching at home, remember this. Respect is not optional. When someone has paid their dues, when someone has earned their place, when someone has spent decades contributing to the culture, you treat them with the dignity they deserve, period." With that, Chaka Khan turned and walked off the set, her head held high, leaving behind a shattered host and a stunned studio. The Queen of Funk had not only defended her legacy, she had reminded the world why legends are legends, and why some platforms are far too powerful to be handled by those who lack the maturity to respect greatness.